and welcome to coverage of the 2023 European Open, a prestigious event bringing the best players from around the world here to Tampere, Finland at Nokia Disc Golf Park. These players will be battling it out on The Beast, an iconic 18-hole legacy course here in Finland, known to challenge even the best in the world. This is Round 1 Front 9 FPO feature card coverage brought to you by MDG Media, and I'm Connor Wood. We'll take a look at our feature card here. You see Catrina Allen, currently the second highest ranked FPO competitor. She's just coming off a win not just a few weeks ago, winning the Preserve. She's poised for a very strong finish here at this tournament as well, and has had a great season. Henna Blomroos joining her. Henna has had some international experience starting out her 2023 season in the United States, playing some of the biggest and best courses in the world and transitioning that now back to Europe, where she's had a series of strong performances. You see here, Kristin Tattar, the highest ranked FPO competitor this season, has won 8 out of her 13 events in 2023, an incredible statistic, currently sitting at 994 rating. She is on an incredible and dominant stretch of her season. Happy to have her here, and joining her, Anneli Tõugjas-Männiste. If you are watching MDG Media FPO coverage, you know her well. She has had some incredible performances both in the European Pro Tour as well as the PDGA Euro Tour, and a very well-rounded game with the backhand, forehand, and the putt. A great addition to any card. We start on hole 1. A 98-meter par 3. Competitors will need to throw through that triple Mando archway into this slightly open field with the late tree line. A lot of players will look to play a slow-speed disc with a touch of overstability, wanting to fly straight and then hit the ground before the basket and slide your way up. If you can stick the green, you then have a slightly elevated basket to contend with, adding a slightly more complex element here to what is for most a straight to fading shot with the right-handed backhand. Catrina Allen to get us started. A really nice line and a great height. You see her connecting with the ground before the pin and sliding her way up. That is an ideal use of the ground play and a great accuracy and control of that nose and hyzer angle. This is Henna now. We see Henna going significantly higher and wider as a result, not playing the gap down the middle and catching a tree along the way. She'll be left with some distance downhill, and given that slope and OB long, still not an easy shot for her there. Kristin here with a really nice line, although catching that late tree line, she will be tested with a circle to look towards the basket downhill. Anneli of Team Discmania. Also significantly more hyzer angle, but a great result there as she slides her way to about circle's edge, going sideways across the hill. That will offer her a little bit less danger. We see Henna up first though, still with some distance to bite off. She's going to be looking to lay this one up as close as possible and control the speed. And she's done just that. A great touch. Kristin with an early choice to make. Will she lay it up or will she run the putt? She looks to be giving it a go. But a sort of floaty half bid there. A lot of sense made. A little bit tentative on that downhill. Not looking to leave it too far away while still trying to give it a chance. And a very healthy putt for the par save on the comebacker. Really nice. As we see Anneli here for her birdie. connecting well and securing the first birdie here for our feature card. Round 1 European Open. Catrina Allen also very close. Taking her time, ensuring her putting routine remains, and you see that right in the heart. A great throw and a great putt for Catrina as well. Henna just going to be tapping in for 3 after the upshot. As we see an even split, 2 pars and 2 birdies on hole 1 for our feature card. Hole 2, a 95-meter par 3 with OB lining the left and the right side the entire way. A lot of players will opt to go out to that left side and then come back to the right to avoid the low ceiling and precipitously hanging branches of these trees in the fairway. If you have the power, the forehand shapes really naturally. You can also turn over the backhand or even throw the roller, but it requires a little bit more touch on the angles. Another attackable hole if you can keep it in the fairway. Catrina up first, relying on that power forehand. She comes up just a little bit short, but will be left with a reasonable putt to attack for her second birdie here on hole 2. Anneli also very comfortable with the forehand. And as she navigates her way just around the branches, even fighting up towards that OB line, significant rightwards movement at the end of her flight, I think hoping to flex that slightly harder to the left before fading, but still some good distance that will leave her with a putt as well. No one yet in the circle. We see Henna with the backhand turnover line high on Anheuser. And an amazing shot. She remains in the circle despite the ground play going a little bit long. It began to flex out at the end and find some fade after the long sustained turn. But a great shot. Kristin also playing the forehand here. A low pushing flight. She looks to be right about circle's edge. We have Anneli up first from circle 2. She will run almost any open putt that you give her. She just slides off the left side chains. Catrina now. And just dead center, great pace and height. You see her hyzer angle coming in at about 45 degrees, really grabbing the chains and smashing the pole. A very nice putt there. Kristin now for her birdie. She too translates that shot into the birdie. Very nicely done. Is on an incredible run this season, and when she's playing at her best, there seems to be very few who can keep up with her. Henna now, needing to straddle. Although she's in the circle and considerably closer, you see that by coming up short of the green, you have an open look towards the bushes, whereas if you do fire long, you have to now putt around them or over them. Henna left with that decision, going to the knee to create some width and space for the putt. Oh, and a great hyzer release. Very good delivery from a compromised position. Henna secures her birdie here as well on hole 2. Anneli for par. A confident touch from her there. Hole 3, a 240-meter par 5. You see this OB River dividing the fairway into 2 sections. Players will need to make the choice off the tee if they want to try to cross or lay up beforehand. I think the layup playing much more favorable and still allowing for a big drive on the second or third to try and secure the birdie as you then snake your way down this fairway with OB to the right as well as to the left. Players need to navigate over this rolling hill under the trees and back up to this elevated basket with OB perched right behind. This is a big and daunting hole, although if you can throw some smooth drives in the fairway, you can get out with no damage and even potentially the birdie here. We see Catrina just playing the layup. It is a considerable distance to try and cross on the first. But Henna looking like she's getting aggressive here with the high turnover, a great use of the understability. She clears it beautifully. Prime position in the center fairway as we see her risk pay off. This is looking like a driver from Kristin as well, really trying to push this turnover. But she's beginning to fade left towards OB. Oh, and she, bouncing off the corner marker, almost finds her way back in bounds, but does receive the red flag. Anneli as well, just laying up to the first half of the fairway, looking to go over on the second. Catrina now. Looking to push this with a hyzer flip down the right side. Enough stability to ensure it has a strong fade at the end. And that solid progress up the fairway, keeping it inbounds. Anneli and Catrina both with some great distance on their drives. Despite opting to lay up, I think more of an intended game plan than any sort of sign of a weakness in their distance. Both of them really able to push one out there with the backhand. Kristin after the OB gets this very turned over, but fortunately low enough that it digs the ground. Although she won't get distance, that was moving towards OB a second time. Henna now. A significant hyzer release. I think she was hoping to push that one to flat, but she plays to the left side fairway up near that fence just over the hill, and she'll be left with a hyzer approach to the green. Two good throws from Henna. Kristin needs a lot of distance on this one now. She's battling the low ceiling and finds a tree along the way. Anneli playing a slightly wider entrance movement towards this green, and you see her just catch the edge of the hill, now going sideways over the spine towards the basket. Has opened up a nice look for herself. A beautifully framed green here for Catrina. Playing the soft flex, you see she doesn't quite manage to get all the way underneath and through. This is Henna's third shot. If she can put this close, she will be taking a birdie here, stress-free. And just like that, Henna Blomroos will find herself 2 under par through the first 3 holes. Kristin as well, although that was only her 4th shot. That was her 5th stroke, given the early OB penalty. And Catrina hitting the pedestal. She's looking very well put together today, Catrina Allen, hitting all the lines so far. And Anneli also just laying up the elevated basket, really exposing players to significantly more danger than a basket at a regular height with that OB behind. Kristin in 5 throws, but 6 strokes there. She takes the single bogey. Henna with a tap in 4. Textbook execution here. Got it over on the first, and you see the reward for her. Both Catrina and Anneli opting to lay up and taking the par as a result. Henna walking away with the lone birdie, Kristin the lone bogey. Hole 4. Par 4 at 186 meters. You have these series of gaps to hit directly off the tee. Also with a slightly low ceiling, you need a low to the ground penetrating shot that has some movement towards the right. Whether it's a forehand or a turning backhand, players will also need to combat this slope being significantly right to left. Any backhand that has too much fade will find itself down at the bottom, potentially an OB stroke. We see here the basket tucked away under the branches of these beautiful guardian trees perched on the hill. If you have the distance, forehand is a viable line, but requires a great skill with that tool. We have Henna up first now, putting 2 birdies together in a row on holes 2 and 3. As we see her turn that over, as I mentioned, avoiding the leftwards play. Keeps it inbounds, although it does not complete the full flight. That had a lot of speed on it. Catrina just gripping that one a little bit late on the release. Getting the forehand turned up to flat into an early tree that is not too much significant distance, and she will still be in a very tough spot even for par, as Anneli inversely on the right side on an early release finds those trees. We'll see if Kristin can make the adjustment and hit the gap purely. We see her playing the forehand to try and fight the slope, but even off a small kick such as that, a significant roll down the hill may put her in a solid position for the long backhand hyzer though. Catrina once again going to the forehand. She gets a small roll to left side fairway, may also open up the backhand for her. If you're down the hill, you can still throw that left ending shape. Anneli hitting a nice forehand flex. A lot of flight and even some ground play towards the end for that extra touch of distance. Great control there with the driver. Henna from a power patent pending stance there, catching one of the trees along the way. She's continuing to fight her way out of this tree line. Kristin as well drops to the knee, shaping an N-hyzer high release forehand that flattens out towards the end. She is also out in the open with a long look towards the green. Catrina trying to make a push to the basket here, and she has done just that, sneaking her way around that last obstacle. Certainly a chance from there. Henna now. As she gets more height up the hill. Quite a nice result. We see what Anneli is left with. This looks very high given the low ceiling, but fading just in time. She pushes it a little bit too straight, hoping for a slightly earlier fade, but still looking to be within the circle. This was one of the most difficult holes of the day. Kristin with a very nice approach on the forehand. Just a soft floaty bid. The second most difficult, averaging a 4.85 on a 186 meter par 4. Henna off the knee. She's already hit 1 this round. Oh, and she goes for 2, but just a little bit low. Difficult to generate so much pop on the putt when you remove the lower body from the equation. Anneli now from the bush's edge. A little bit high and a brutal roll away. She sneaks even slightly further this time than where she just was. We'll see her confidence here on this putt. Oh, and just incredible composure. Incredible. That's a sign of a great putter right there. That even from a further distance, still maintaining confidence and focus, knowing that she has the skill set to put that one in. And you see the smile on her face to get some knuckles. Very smooth. Cat with the bogey there here on 4. As I mentioned, averaging 4.85, playing significantly closer to a par 5 than a par 4 on this weekend. A very clean par for Kristin. Left with just that short putt. She still sits at even alongside Anneli. And Henna there tapping in her bogey. Kristin getting a stroke on this card with the par. We go to hole 5, a 100-meter par 3. You see, although it may look like an elevated tee, you play over the valley as the green slopes back upwards. It is effectively a flat shot across the gap. A lot of players will choose to play the forehand once again into this right to left sloping hillside. The backhand is very possible, although requires a great degree of touch and control of the hyzer release angle or turnover angle. Hole 5, one of the more attackable par 3s here on the Beast. Important with the forehand to navigate the low ceiling given by those late branches. This looks like a great shot from Kristin. And she'll be left just behind that tree, although a very nice shape and a good height on the hill, just up and right of the pin. Henna going hyzer flip backhand, but looks like it has too much height here. Unable to battle under the guardian trees and enter the green. She'll still be on the fairway looking uphill towards the basket. Hopefully able to give it a run quite safely. Cat here playing the power forehand once again, but you saw her frustration as it came out of the hand, I think. Significantly higher and less turn than she would have wanted. If she could have gotten the nose slightly more downwards, it would also contribute more turn. Both of which I think she wanted there. Anneli playing the backhand despite having a very good power forehand. On the right side fairway, she'll play this forehand hyzer into the hill, settle it nice and soft. Should be looking at a par there for Anneli. Catrina battling way uphill. Gets it close as well as getting some claps from the gallery there. Always great to hear the encouragement and support. Wow, what a bid there with the forehand. Just flying past the chains from Henna. Beautiful. This is Kristin now for her birdie look. Closest of the bunch. And a great putt. Playing the forehand flex off the tee and then capitalizing on it from about circle's edge. Kristin finds herself once again at 1 under for the round. A great par save from Henna there, securing her 3. Both Anneli as well as Cat hopefully following suit here, able to secure their pars. Very tricky if you don't hit the ceiling or the hyzer angle just right. That severe sloping fairway can really amplify any small mistakes that you might make. Cat, a very routine-oriented player. And you see the results. She secures her par here on hole 5. Hole 6, a 100-meter par 3. You have this initial tunnel to hit between these trees. The fairway then begins to slope softly uphill, offering you this late gap that you also need to hit. Very much the determining factor for if a shot will make the entrance to the green and effectively whether or not you get a birdie look. A lot of players will disc up, crash into this hillside, and use the ground play to push forwards up to the green. Try to make your putt. Kristin up first with a soft flex, battling to the bottom of the hill. A fine spot that will give her a long look uphill for the birdie. Henna now. Going hyzer flip up the middle and just a matter of centimeters there, catching the left side of the tree and kicking early. Cat also pushing the hyzer flip up there, gets a little bit more flight than Henna, just finding one of those very late trees, but otherwise an effective shape to battle up this hill in a straight flight. Anneli, really a fan of the DD1s, DD3s. Oh, and the precision there, so close to perfect, just nicking that tree at the very end. Had she made it past that, she would have been right up there, likely near bullseye. She'll be left with a putt up the hill. Henna up first to still enter the green from a well-protected left side. And a nice upshot. Catrina Allen playing the skip. Chuckles a little bit about that one. Fighting more inside than I think she wanted, but a fine result. Kristin far enough to give it a chance with the jump putt. And also potentially just looking to take the 3 here, not getting too aggressive from way downtown. And Anneli the same. A lot of these sloping fairways and greens giving a significant chance of roll away if you catch the wrong part of the basket. Catrina just a little bit low on the cage, putting uphill. It can happen quickly. We'll see if Henna can make that correction from slightly closer and slightly more uphill than Catsly. Very nice for her, securing the 3. That was not an easy approach. Great on her to put herself nice and close. We see Kristin for her par now. And a great delivery as we've come to expect here. Cat getting that one in for bogey. Had the chance at par, but coming up just a little bit low. That one missed putt making the difference there. And for Anneli as well, although she takes the par. Hole 7, a 185-meter par 4. These players will be throwing considerably uphill through this initial tunnel. For most players, a power backhand hyzer to flipping straight shot. You want to crest over this hill and out into the open with many trees along the way. Any kick to the right can be very severe on its lie. A kick to the left will reduce your distance but play a little bit friendlier. You'll then be left with an upshot to a precipitous basket perched right on the edge of a huge drop-off a lot of players will be encouraged and really be worried about keeping their approach short. Anything that's long or rightwards, especially playing nicely for the forehand approach, will find itself well down the hill. Kristin up first. Gets a good drive, although a little bit early fade on that. Had a lot of speed out of the hand, and I think she's made good progress up the fairway. Henna now as well, with a great angle, very purely hitting down the intended tunnel. Anneli going with the DD1 hyzer flip, thrown to perfection. Really nice straight flight from her as well. Cat now playing the same line, even pushing that distance a touch further than Anneli, although Henna still the furthest up there of our feature card. Kristin actually getting a kick off the tree that was difficult to see from the previous camera angle, leaving her this power forehand back up the hill. Solid progress, and that will give her a look to approach and still try to salvage the par off what was quite a difficult lie you saw there. Anneli sitting at even. We'll see if she chooses to attack the green on this second shot. A fine shot, but ensuring that it doesn't fade, turn rather too much to the right and catches a late fade. Just a simple jump putt approach from her down the hill towards the drop off. Cat here getting this one pulled a little bit to the right and just barely missing that late gap into the green under the branches. Also a great line from her. This is Henna here going patent pending. Anheuser release. We'll see how long this holds the angle before fading. And that is a beautiful display of touch, angle control, speed. An incredibly difficult shot that I think she just made look very easy. Incredibly commendable. And a great execution. Kristin here playing with fire. Wow, she caught the branch. Beginning to fade towards that huge drop-off. She remains safe and on the upper plateau. Anneli there hitting the base to slow herself down. A big moment. Kristin can run this with her right-handed putt ending to the left. Will fade away from the drop-off, but you see the low ceiling and considerable distance there, making for a very tricky one. Cat from about circle's edge. A solid bid that also manages to stay on top. We go back to Kristin now. Left with about 7 or 8 meters. Very confident. She will be picking up a bogey and returning her round to even. Henna here. Off an amazing upshot. Tapping in the birdie. Great off the tee. Great to the green. And a great putt in the chains. Henna has done it all here on hole 7. Both Cat and Anneli tapping in for their pars on hole 7, playing just fine, averaging a 4.42. I think nobody will be too upset walking away with the par. Although on this hole, certainly one you want to birdie. Hole 8, a 78-meter par 3, although significantly uphill, probably playing closer to about 100. You want to try and get a hyzer pushing up this hill, fight over the hay bales, and try to land softly on this hill with the basket perched just at the top. You can play a straight to hyzer fading shot with the speed that suits your game best. Try to secure the 2. There are some slopes as well on this green, off to the back and to the left. In case you come in a little bit too hot with that hyzer. We have Henna up first. Getting quite a spike angle, digging the hill. And some claps, I think just about 4 or 5 meters away behind that tree. Should be a good look with the straddle putt if necessary. although Henna likes to putt that style anyway. We see Anneli pumping her hyzer up the hill as well. Also really nicely done, very centered down the fairway. Cat playing a lower line and just pushing up forwards enough to beat the hay bales, although kicking back into them off the tree. She'll be left with an uphill putt from, I believe, just outside the circle. Kristin as well with a great forwards pushing line. Gets the hyzer skip towards the end and curls up just 4 or 5 meters away from the basket. Really nicely done. We'll have Cat up first. Oh, and some incredible confidence from way down there. Catching the band just a little bit too high. Anneli now with a slightly shorter look, although still uphill. A great delivery there. She secures her birdie here on hole 8. Anneli sneaks her way to 1 under for the round so far. Henna coming up just a little bit short left of where she would ideally be. We see her picking her side there. Just laying up for the 3. May have had some awkward footing or an awkward stroke, which we were unable to see from that angle. She says, I'm fine with par, and she's currently leading this feature card, so understandable knowing she has a solid round. Kristin there with the birdie, putting herself back under par, and a good bounce back after the bogey on 7. She finds her birdie here on hole 8. Cat for par. Just sneaking it over the cage on that uphill putt. Enough height to put it in, but not too much. And Henna there securing her par after laying up from the early hillside, not wanting to bring any unnecessary risk into this equation. She's got a good thing going, likely to continue it. We move to hole 9, a 103 meter par 3, sloping downhill as well as left to right. A lot of players will play the power forehand out the left side nice and wide and use the natural grade and slope of the hill as well as the overstability of the disc to filter down towards the green. You see a lot of discs coming in that look like an incredible ace run or park job that fire along, whether they hit this artificial turf at the base of the basket or the natural grass. It is a very fast green and you need to control the speed that you come into it with. Playing softly downhill, that can be extra tricky. Anneli here playing the flex down the middle. Getting it grounded just a little bit too early. Kristin here playing the power forehand. Gives it the width. Looks to have a good speed to it. Catches the grass early and skips towards the basket. She's up there in the circle putting for birdie. A great display of the forehand line. Looked to come out on quite a hyzer angle. She could have potentially pushed it a little more flat to get some more distance, but in the circle and a great tree-free line there. Finding the full flight. Henna coming up just a little bit short. Catrina Allen sitting at even. Had a very hot start, birdieing the first 2 holes. And since then, some pars and 2 bogeys. We see that piercing flight get through the branches and fire just long. She'll be left with about 11 or 12. Anneli laying up there. Henna likely doing the same. Cat not likely laying this one up. Going off the top. A great attempt for her there. Kristin for her birdie off a great forehand tee shot. Beautiful putt. Kristin using her Tour Series Moonshine Pures on the green to great effect. We see a very confident delivery there, putting her at 2 under as we close out this front 9. Cat there saving the 3 on a stretch of pars now towards the end of the front 9. Henna as well with the 3, and Anneli the same. Kristin once again gaining a stroke on this feature card, although this time with a birdie. As we take a look at the standings through the front 9, we see Tele Tumsalu has been shown on some coverage here on MDG Media so far in your solo lead position. Tied in second, we have Kristin and Henna from our card alongside Evelina Salonen at 2 under. Tied in 5th, Anneli, Heidi and Likke. Some incredible competitors here battling it out on the beast. An exciting front 9. We appreciate you joining us. Make sure to like, comment and subscribe. And if you're feeling extra supportive, you can check out the Patreon as well. We appreciate every single one of you, and make sure to join us for the future rounds of this event, as well as other events. See you there.